It's 2023, and I just bought myself a G27 steering wheel. So what's it like? You're about to find out in my review for the Logitech G27 steering wheel. So in this review, I'll be talking about the form and functionality as well as the in-game experience of the wheel. And towards the end of the video, I'll be discussing the known issues and how you can fix them yourself from your own home. So one of the things that I like the most about the G27 steering wheel, especially in 2023, is the price point. I picked this up for $200 off of Craigslist, and honestly, I couldn't be more satisfied with my purchase. It's in very good condition. The plastic is still on it. So I got a very good one to start. The steering wheel came with the H shifter and the pedals, so all three in one bundle. So for $200, that's pretty good. As the G29 currently, I believe, only goes for $339 Canadian on Amazon, and that's just the wheel and the pedals, and you don't even get the shifter. You have to buy that separately for like 80 bucks Canadian. So it's like over $400. So that compared to $200 is not bad. For a beginner driver or a beginner drifter, this is adequate. I like it. The shifter is good too. The buttons don't get in the way of the shifter, but the shifter does get in the way of the buttons. So, yeah. But at least the shifter is fine and has a lot of space. Now, the pedals, there's three pedals: clutch, brake, and gas. They work good, and the spring resistance is adequate. The ones that I had were in pretty good condition as well, so that's totally fine. These have no problem clipping into my desk. The wheel, of course, is the main unit, and the pedals and the shifter actually plug into the wheel, which then plugs into the computer. And the power supply also plugs into the wheel. Design-wise, I like it. It works. But there are some major flaws right from the get-go. There's supposed to be air vents on the top of the main body of the steering wheel, and those are fake holes. Those don't actually work. There's actually two kind of little holes, but they don't even work. Like, there's no air that comes out of them. You can't feel it. So, yeah, that's a bust. And there's a grill on the front, kind of like a car grill. Like, it kind of resembles the front end of a car. It's fake. It's just a thick piece of plastic. It's really thick, too. I measured it at about half a centimeter thick. So that's some thick plastic right there. All it does is just hold the heat inside of the unit. There's some actual grates beside the fake grate in the middle, but those... they're blocked by another piece of plastic. But I'll talk about that towards the end of the video and how you can fix them yourself. So on to the next point, which is the in-game experience of this wheel. And let me tell you, it's pretty decent. I had a ton of fun, and that's coming from me. I'm kind of a new driver. So I wasn't looking for the best wheel, I was just looking for a simple yet decent wheel to learn drifting and do some sim racing on, and this one really does do that pretty well. There are some differences to real-life driving, of course. This doesn't really perfectly simulate it, but for arcade-like games, this is perfect, and, you know, just to learn drifting, this does the trick. As you can see in these videos, I'm able to do a fair number of drifts in Car X with a tuned-up car. I literally just learned how to play this game and how to drift, right? So I thought I was like a super giga Chad, and then nope. Turns out I had steering assist on, and I turned it off, and I was a total noob again. I didn't know anything, and I kept slipping out, as you can see in this clip. It's terrible. But I am learning slowly now that I got the hang of it, and as you can see in this little clip, I can actually do a drift in the AE86, and yeah, I'm getting somewhere with that. Unfortunately, though, while I was trying to learn drifting, like as soon as I switched the steering assist off that night, I must have broken something, because the next day I was having the wheel alignment problem. So whilst this is a great gaming experience, there are a few flaws, and really you should be aware of them. Now, the first glaring issue is one that only affects people who have Logitech G Hub already installed on their computer, you know, the one for your keyboard and mouse. If you have that installed on your computer already, as soon as you plug in this wheel and download the software for it, you'll find out very quickly that it does not work, and for whatever reason, Windows will not recognize your device. Now, the way to fix this is to go into your G Hub application, into the settings, and turn off Run Application at Start. And you're going to want to make sure you do that for the G27 software as well in the options there. Close any related services in the task manager, in the application tray, make sure they're completely closed. Plug in your G27 steering wheel, then start the G27 application, and then start the G Hub application. If it still doesn't work after that, you may need to restart your computer and then try it again. The next glaring issue was the cooling. There is almost no cooling on this. It's fake cooling, and that's not really, that's not cool, you know? Literally and figuratively. Like, this device costs hundreds of dollars, especially when it was new, and it's gonna break if you play it for more than 4 hours. Like, it gets really hot in just 2 hours, and that's ridiculous. Now, the reason this is because it actually has a dual motor configuration, and those two little motors create a lot of heat. So they did actually put in 2 rows of vents in there, and they should be working, but they're actually covered up on the inside for some reason. I don't know if it was for structural integrity or to keep out dust and dirt, but yeah, they're covered up, as well as 3 other fake grills on the back of the device. This in turn causes a lot of heat buildup and stress on the components. I was actually able to fix this by simply going in with the Dremel and opening up all those holes and cutting open the grills, and I did a couple other modifications, which I will actually be posting as a video next week on my YouTube. You can also upgrade this. So it's the same as RC car motors. When they want better passive cooling, they will add a heatsink to the motors. So I got a 550 aluminum heatsink, which they use for RC car motors. I'll post a link in the description below. Now, these are very easy to install. I simply popped them right onto the motors, and bam, they work. They passively cool your motors right after that, and you're able to play for hours longer than you would have before you upgraded it. Okay, so moving on to the next issue. You may have noticed that your steering wheel is a bit stiff. When you're turning, it feels slow, the auto centering is laggy, and the force feedback just doesn't feel as strong as you thought it should be. Now, the reason this is because the grease is likely degraded or dried out. It may not be completely dried out, but enough for it to cause these issues. It's been a long time since the last model has gone off production, back in 2015. So no matter what, even if it's brand new in box, it'll still feel stiff. The solution to this is to simply re-grease the gears. So you're gonna have to open this puppy up, re-grease it with some silicone-based grease or any other plastic-safe grease. Try to go for the RC car tournament stuff, because that is adequate for these, and RC cars usually have a lot of plastic parts, so it's safe. So after you grease it, you'll find that the wheel is much smoother, the force feedback is strong again, and the auto centering is just about as fast as what you see on screen. There is also a small issue with the desk clamp knobs, both on the shifter and the steering wheel. They have like little springs in them, I guess, to push them in and then press down again to let them bounce back up. Mine are broken and get stuck, so I actually have to leave mine up. So that's definitely something to take into consideration. And last thing, and this is a huge one because it will basically render this inoperable. So this is the biggest issue. It's the encoder wheel, the wheel alignment problem. As I was saying before, I got that after just drifting in one night, and then the next day I noticed, my wheel doesn't work anymore. And then on top of that, it's like moving over to the left. That's ridiculous. And the reason that is because of the non-existent cooling. It puts stress on this part that keeps track of the degrees that your wheel is turning to the left or right. You know, it's counting the steps as it turns to the left or right. That wheel is called an encoder wheel, and it's made of plastic. Now, the unfortunate thing is, because of the lack of cooling, that little plastic wheel gets heated up, and it gets stressed out due to the centrifugal forces of the spinning motors, because it's attached right to the shaft inside of this, right, to track the rotation. It warps, and then when you do a really high-speed drift and then spin the wheel the other way, counterspin it, right, it's able to crack or outright break. In my case, it actually cracked, so I actually had to go in and repair that. And the fact that this happened in just one night, I mean, it could have been a hairline crack that developed over time, but still, I hadn't even used this that much, neither did the previous person. That's really bad. So it all comes down to this. Is the G27 steering wheel worth buying in 2023? The short answer is no. The long answer is it depends. It really depends on if you don't mind fixing and repairing electronics yourself. You're also going to have to get a little grease on them puppies and spend about $50. And if you don't have a Dremel, well, you're going to need a Dremel because this is not possible without a Dremel. You could do it with a hot knife, but... So really, at the end of the day, while I don't recommend the G27 steering wheel, I definitely had a lot of fun repairing this and giving it a little bit of an upgrade and a tune. And that's that. That's my review for the Logitech G27 steering wheel. I really enjoyed this. This ended up taking a lot longer than I thought it would, but I hope you found it useful, and you go out there and either don't buy one or you do and fix it and have a lot of fun. I'm also going to be posting some videos detailing my repair work and upgrade to the steering wheel and how that's affected my gameplay. I know I talked a little bit about that in this video, but in that video you're going to get a detailed description on how I did it and what products I use, so you can look into that to hopefully fix any of your own G27 steering wheel issues. So yeah, keep smoking that sweet diesel and have yourself a nice day.
Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any